of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Minnesota.
For 25 years, your home for Minnesota Twins baseball.
Last night, the Twins had the target field faithful on the edge of their seats. Justin Morneau's heroics brought home Jamie Carroll for the go-ahead run, and Glenn Perkins slammed the door with a 1-2-3 ninth as Minnesota pulled back even at 500 on its home field. Twins fans are hoping for more of the same in Game 2 of the set with Philadelphia here tonight, and we've got it all for you right here on Fox Sports North. And welcome inside Target Field, everybody. Dave Benz alongside Roy Smalley. And Roy, as we showed you, Twins fans went home happy last night, thanks in large part to the heroics of Justin Morneau, who really had to battle to come up with that go-ahead RBI single.
It was a terrific battling professional at bat. It really was, against a tough left-hander with Jamie Carroll on third. He's trying to get a good pitch, so he takes one low and he takes one on the outside corner. Now he comes up and in. Now he's got a fight on his hands with 1 and 2. Fouls off a tough fastball, fouls off a slider. Here's the strikeout pitch, but he's able to get a piece of it and finally get a ball in the middle of the plate and deliver a line drive single to drive in the eventual winning run. And look at how he stays on the ball. He's hitting right back through the ball and not around it. That's perfect contact point to hit a nice line drive up the middle to win the game. Perfect.
A 3-for-4 night overall for Justin Morneau. They'll look for more from him tonight. They'll also look for a good start from Mike Pelfrey. Dick and Bert have more on that after this timeout.
Ford. Visit NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. And by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
It'll be Tyler Cloyd's job tonight to get the Phillies back in the win column and end a 4-game losing streak for Philadelphia. And good evening from Target Field. Dick and Bert with you for Game 2 of this series. What we've seen over the last couple of weeks, the Twins starting pitching a little bit better, and no one has shown more improvement than tonight's starter, Mike Pelfrey.
Well, I sure hope Mike Pelfrey remembers what he did in his last start, and that against the Kansas City Royals. Twins got him some early runs, 3-0 lead, but boy, did he come out and attack the strike zone with this fastball. A 1-2-3 first inning. That's something that Pelfrey's had a little trouble with getting through that first inning, but he got a couple double plays. He pitched 6 1/3, the longest outing for Pelfrey so far this year.
Phillies are struggling to score runs, which seems hard to believe because they've got some tremendous hitters in the middle of the lineup, including Ryan Howard.
Well, one thing about interleague play, we get to see some of these all-stars right here. Ryan Howard is an all-star. 307 home runs since 2006. Only Albert Pujols has hit more home runs than this big left-handed hitter right here. As far as driving in runs, only Miguel Cabrera has done that. We get the opportunity to watch him here. He's hurt a little bit, but this guy can still swing the bat.
Last homestand was a good one for the Twins, winning 4 of the 5 games. Tonight, they'd like to start a nice long, week-and-a-half long homestand with a pair of wins.
Tidy 3-2 win last night in the series opener. Hoping to take care of business tonight, win the series tonight against Charlie Manuel's team, who had it going for a while. They had 5 straight wins, but now they've lost 4 games in a row. And the Menards batting order for the Phillies in Game 2. Michael Young in the leadoff spot, then Ben Revere, Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown, Delman Young, John Mayberry, Freddie Galvis, and Steve LaRue.
And Mike Pelfrey on the mound, 3 wins, 6 losses in his 13th start. He has only 3 quality starts. This is his 21st career start against the Philadelphia Phillies. 7 wins and 7 losses throughout his career.
Northland Ford defense for the Twins. An outfield of Oswaldo Arcia in left, Clete Thomas in center, Ryan Doman in right, Carroll, Florimon, Escobar, and Morneau. Mauer behind the plate. The only change from last night at second base, where the switch hitter Eduardo Escobar will start in place of Brian Durkee.
Dick, you agree with me. Pelfrey in his last start, they gave him a 3-0 lead in Kansas City. He came out, and that's the most aggressive I have seen him yet this year at bottom of that first inning.
And the hope is, as Ron Gardenhire said, that he'll use that as a stepping stone and continue to do that. And Pelfrey, who's been very frustrated with how he's pitched, I think has something encouraging to reflect on in his last start. Even though he did not get the win, he pitched well enough to win and gave the Twins his best start so far.
Hey, it's something to build on, and that's what you want. And hopefully you can carry that from last start into this start, and we'll find out.
Michael Young has taken over the leadoff duties for the Phillies, and he takes strike one. Young has hit as a leadoff batter in his days with the Texas Rangers, but not lately. And the Phillies kind of going through what the Twins have gone through. Ben Revere didn't do a particularly good job in the leadoff spot. They've tried some other hitters there, but Young right now is the guy. Check swing, 1-1.
Well, not a bad guy to have. There's so much history for Michael Young. Oh, almost 2,300 major league hits. Of course, all those hits, most of them coming with the Texas Rangers, where he spent the first 13 seasons of his big league career.
It's in the final year of his deal that he signed with the Rangers, and it's one of those weird deals. CFOs don't like deals like this. The Texas Rangers are paying 10 of the $16 million that Young is making this year. The Rangers are paying $10 million for Michael Young to play third base for the Phillies.
Not a bad deal for the Phillies.
Bouncer to the right side. And Escobar throws to Morneau, one away. In tonight's game, we're participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run in this game raises $12,000 for prostate cancer research. And you can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. Twins organization is also getting involved to help keep Dad in the game. They'll be donating an additional $10,000 for each home run hit by the Twins this week, and $1,000 for every strikeout by a Twins pitcher.
Well, last night no home runs hit, but 7 strikeouts for the Twins pitching staff, so $7,000 raised.
Here's Revere, who hit leadoff at the start of the year.
You saw PJ Walters. He had 5 of the 7 strikeouts.
Revere sent down to the 7th and 8th spot in the batting order for a while, now hitting second as Charlie Manuel's trying to do something he hasn't had to deal with as a manager, going back to his days with the Indians and his earlier years with the Phillies. Run scoring has not been a problem for Charlie Manuel teams.
No, they have not, especially in Cleveland.
1-2 to Ben Revere. Great snag at third by Carroll. Comes up firing. Safe at first, and Morneau will argue the point.
He's saying that he touched Ben Revere before he got to the bag, and here comes manager Ron Gardenhire.
Bruce Dreckman, the first base umpire, if Morneau's foot was off the bag, his contention is he tagged Revere as soon as he caught the ball.
Yeah, what he said. Now, Bruce Dreckman may be looking at where he came off the bag, but Justin saying, hey, I touched him before he got to the bag. And they kind of bumped into each other right there. Great play by Carroll.
That's a different type of bang.
This will give us right here, right there. Got him on the shoulder, and he did tag him with the glove.
So Revere will take all of those he can get. That was a close call, close play. Carroll can't believe it. It's a hit for Revere. And Jimmy Rollins will hit with a man aboard.
Keep an eye on Ben Revere, 14 stolen bases in 18 attempts.
Opponents have been 6 for 6 against Pelfrey. Check swing on a changeup, ball 1.
Rollins, a veteran of 14 major league seasons, all of them with the Philadelphia Phillies. First came up with them in 2000, the year 2000.
That one shaves the outside corner, 1-1. I guess the One of the surprising things, Pelfrey's had a lot of base runners on base, but there have only been 6 steals.
A quick throw over right there. You know, Pelfrey's a big man, 6'7", about 250. It's going to take him a little while, but the only thing you can do when you're that big and you don't have that vest to move to first base is make that runner stop and then utilize a slide step if you can. Don't bring that left knee up too far. Like that.
Foul back. Yeah, he just picked his spikes up out of the dirt and shifted forward.
That's all you can do. You know what? Good base runners, you know, they're going to steal bases, but if you can make them stop and start from, don't let them take that walking lead. Guys like Ben Revere, you know, when they get that jump, boy, they just, within 1-2 steps, they're at full tilt already.
1-2. Rollins.
See what Ben Revere's looking at. Number 37 and almost a quick pitch.
But that's all part of it, isn't it? I mean, now the next one he may hold it for about 4 seconds.
Yeah. Right. But you cannot pay so much attention to Ben Revere that you forget about what you're trying to accomplish, and that's get the out at home. There he is holding it.
And a base hit to right. Revere will hold up at second base. So a pair of singles, 2 aboard with 1 out in the first.
That's a changeup right there, but it was left right down the middle of a plate. And that base hit to right field.
First baseman number 6, Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard, the batter, with 2 men aboard. One of the areas of improvement for the Twins rotation, we talked about that at the open, is not giving up as many first inning runs. And now the Phillies have a threat here in the first inning, and Rick Anderson hoping Pelfrey can get a ground ball hit at somebody.
Pelfrey's had 9 double plays turned behind him.
Inside, ball 1.
A lot of at-bats for Ryan Howard against Pelfrey. 43 at-bats. He has 16 hits, 3 home runs.
You saw Pelfrey's been as guilty as anybody in giving up first inning runs, a dozen of them in a dozen starts. Fouled back 1-1. Not only time together in the National League, but within the American League East. Howard, all those years with the Phillies, Pelfrey prior to coming to the Twins, all his years with the Mets. So a lot of at-bats.
Howard's hit into 3 double plays. He's a guy that gets underneath that ball. A lot of fly balls. Of course, all that power, 307 Major League home runs. Outfield playing pretty even up for Ryan Howard.
Two and 1. Three and 1. Dominic Brown on deck.
When you put yourself in a situation 3-1, you do not want to go fastball in right here because Howard's thinking one thing. That's a long ball. You have to work him away and make him hit if he's going to hit a long ball the other way. See where Mauer sets up behind home plate.
And a walk fills them up. 3 straight batters have reached. And a rough start so far for Mike Pelfrey.
Yeah, Pelfrey's got to get back down in the zone right there. Too many pitches left up. He fell behind. Even that 3-1 pitch right there, a fastball up. You have to make sure if you miss down in the strike zone.
Howard, a dangerous bat to be sure, but now you walk the bases full. And the National League leader in home runs, Dominic Brown, stands in the box. to left. Hanging in the air for Arcia. And Arcia's throw all the way to the plate. And he's lucky Revere didn't advance. A sacrifice fly. Rollins staying at second base. And Revere scoring from third.
Yeah, Brown picking up his 48th RBI. And if you can work out of this situation and only give up one run, you've done a good job. So the sacrifice fly off the bat of Brown, who you said, Dick, 19 home runs, leads the National League. See if he can get this final out here in the top of the first inning.
Delman Young, the batter. Ordinarily the right fielder for the Phillies, but Charlie Manuel using the American League rule book to put Young in as his designated hitter. To the right side and through. Rollins will gain third base, and he's heading home. And the throw not in time. It's 2-0. So Young with a single to right. More first inning damage done against Mike Pelfrey.
Well, we've seen so many times from Delman Young when he was here. He's ready for that first pitch. He doesn't. Everybody knows, you know, and watch where this pitch is. Pretty much right there. Too good a pitch to Delman Young when he's a first ball fastball hitter. And he lines it into right field. He picks up an RBI, his 15th RBI.
And now John Mayberry Jr. Three hits in the inning. A walk, a sacrifice fly, and it's 2-0. Inside ball one.
Pelfrey not finishing his pitches like we did in Kansas City. That's the best that I saw him pitch, especially in that first inning. Right now, he's just trying to aim the ball a little bit, not letting it go.
Fly ball center field. Cleve Thomas back a few steps. That ends it. 2 score, 2 are left. It's 2-0 Philadelphia. Game last night. They got 2 early ones in the first inning against Mike Pelfrey. The Menard batting order for the Twins in game 2. Jamie Carroll followed by Joe Mauer and Ryan Doman. Josh Willingham, Justin Morneau, Oswaldo Arcia, Cleve Thomas, Eduardo Escobar, and Pedro Florimon.
And Tyler Claude on the mound for the Phillies, making just his 6th start of the year and his 12th major league start. This guy is not overpowering. They told me everything he throws is like a cutter. A little bit of a breaking ball. He might top out at 86, 87. We'll find out, but he's done a pretty good job so far. 4 of his 5 starts have been quality starts for the Phillies.
Bottom line, he's been a lot better than I think even the Phillies expected. He's come into the big league rotation and given the Phillies chances to win most times out. And he delivers strike 1 to Jamie Carroll. Carroll with a good day at the plate last night. Breaking ball off the plate, 1-1.
Tyler Quode last year was the Phillies minor league pitcher of the in the organization. Named International League Pitcher of the Year. He was a starting pitcher in the All-Star game in the International League.
2-2. Carroll a couple of hits and a big walk. Eventually scored the winning run in the 8th inning. Fouled away. 2-2. Beautiful night again here at Target Field. Rain for a good part of the day in the Twin Cities. And it looks like we are done with that for a while. Tomorrow it's supposed to be absolutely gorgeous here. Inside, and it's 3-2. Mauer on deck.
Tyler Quode has worked 29 1/3 innings, has 12 walks, 16 strikeouts.
And Carroll flips another one foul. Carroll, with a game like last night, could rest his eyes last night knowing he's probably going to be in the lineup at third base again tonight. There's a pop-up down the right field line, and Mayberry will, in foul ground, make the catch one away. Twins have been looking for some steady play at third base and some production out of the leadoff spot. One down, Mauer will hit against this Northland Ford Phillies defense. Dominic Brown, Ben Revere, John Mayberry Jr., Michael Young, Jimmy Rollins, Freddie Galvis, Ryan Howard, and Steve LaRue, the catcher. One down, and Mauer to the plate. Up and away, ball one. Twins have obviously not faced Cloyd. So even in being retired, Carroll saw a lot of pitchers, and so did everybody else in the lineup. Outside 2-0. Obviously working quickly. Mauer steps out of the box to slow him down a little bit. At the knees, a strike. And we've seen 86. I think I saw an 87, but that's been the top registry on his fastball.
Yeah, they say, again, he's not overpowering. There's a circle that's like a little sinker.
Outside 3-1.
When a catcher does that and kind of rotates his finger around, it's normally a two-seam fastball. Look for a sinker down in the strike zone. LaRue. Now straight fastball, four-seam fastball away.
And Mauer takes a walk. So a couple of 3-ball counts, a foul out and a walk. When you join the Twins season ticket family this year, you'll be hitting the sweet spot. Purchase any of the Twins season ticket packages and get 10% off food, beverage, and merchandise bought at Target Field. Season ticket prices are also up to 20% cheaper than single game purchases. Call 833-TWINS, visit twinsbaseball.com, and check out the options about benefits that come along with Twin season tickets. Here's Ryan Doman. Outside, ball one. And LaRue will run the ball back to the mound. We've seen the Twins do this a lot this year, Bert. I think a lot more than we've seen in the past. Particularly the first time they've seen a pitcher taking a strike, at times taking 2 strikes, to try to work up the pitch count. And the idea isn't necessarily to draw more walks, but it's to get a favorable count. And I think that's one of the points of emphasis for Tom Bernansky in his first year as hitting coach.
Well, you get extra pitches, plus you let everybody else on the bench kind of see what he throws in different count situations.
2-0. And Doman cuts through it.
There it is right there. I mean, behind an account, 2-0, he throws a changeup. Cloyd, 26 years old. Signed by the Phillies in 2008.
Chopped off his front leg. 2-2.
White signed by the Phillies out of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And ouch. You wear that pad, but still, where does it get him? Oh, boy.
2-2 to Domit. To center, and Revere makes the catch out number 2. So Domit stings the ball for out number 2, and that'll bring up Josh Willingham.
I hit that ball right on the button, but a line drive to Revere for the second out.
Willingham with a double in the ball game last night. It wasn't just that the Twins got a run in the bottom of the 8th, but it's how they got it. Willingham had a chance to drive in to go ahead and run with a sacrifice fly or a hit. He didn't get it done, and then with 2 outs, Morneau picked up his teammate and drove in the run. And when you get that, particularly I think from the middle of your lineup, you kind of get going on a roll a little bit.
At least you know the Twins won the ball game. Of course, that's a good feeling, but even a better feeling when your teammate picks you up.
1-0 to Willingham. Lace to the left field corner. Mauer around second. He'll go to third. And it's a double for Willingham. Another extra base hit, and Morneau has a chance to do some damage here in the first inning.
Yeah, for Willingham, going to pitch up his 12th double of the year. Mauer thinking about scoring from first base, but Brown, because this ball was hit so sharply, able to get there and play the carom off the wall and get it back in, and that keeps Mauer at third base.
Morneau did not hit a home run last night, but he had 2 run-producing hits, a double and a single in the 8th inning. Strike 1.
I think Roy Smalley touched on it in the pregame. Roy, you know, hey, he only has 2 home runs, but he's leading the club in RBI. He's hitting almost 300. The home runs hopefully will come.
And I know it's frustrating for Justin because he wants to hit home runs, but if he's getting pitches that are impossible to drive over the wall, then, you know, it's been said for over 100 years, take what the pitcher gives you. Outside, if they're pitching you away,
and every pitch has been away so far,
then, you know, and Justin knows it better than anybody. He won an MVP by doing just that, driving the ball hard to the opposite field for a single or a double.
He has 206 home runs, so he can hit the long ball. So you can see Floyd just staying outside. You know, that ball hit so hard off the bat of Willingham that Mauer was unable to score.
3-1 to Morneau. You saw Arcia on deck, and there's ball 4. They're loaded up.
You can see the velocity when it came off the bat. This is something new that we have, that Josh Willingham came off the bat at 102 miles an hour. That ball hit into that corner. And here's the swing real time.
Plate umpire David Rackley breaking up the meeting on the mound, and early first inning trouble for the Philadelphia starting pitcher Floyd. Arcia with a double to the center field wall. And scored a couple of runs in the 4th inning, and Arcia's double a big part of that. I don't know what the outcome of the at-bat is going to be, but this young man is going to enjoy swinging against Tyler Floyd. On the outside corner.
Well, this is the 2-seamer right here with a little movement. Box track says it's outside.
Oh my, that's the same spot.
That's a little cutter right there.
Why would he ever pitch to the inner half of the plate when you can get that call?
I'm going to say, if you know, Rackley, the home plate umpire, is going to give you that pitch, guess where this one's going to be?
And Garcia fights it off.
And that's exactly where it was.
A walk, a double, a walk, and a chance for Garcia to get the Twins right back into this game.
If they go inside, they're going to go way in off the plate. Oh, boy, made a mistake. Then he got away with it.
Howard scoops up the second hop, goes to the bag, and the Twins leave 3 on in the first inning.
Meanwhile, continue to celebrate Hope Week. It's happening all week long here at Target Field, and earlier today, Joe Mauer hosted a picnic at the park as a part of this week. Patients from the Gillette Children's Hospital got a chance to meet the Twins players and staff for a picnic, and even though it was raining, they just took it inside, didn't stop them at all. Now, this week is a way for Minnesota Twins players and front office staff to give back to the community, with each day presenting a different volunteer opportunity. Dick and Bert, it's cool to see so many of these big-name players taking part in this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamie. The Twins get extraordinary involvement and cooperation from the players to give back to the community. Act foul wide of the Philly dugout, 1-2. Freddie Galvis playing at second base for the Phillies. They are hoping that Chase Utley might be able to rejoin the active roster maybe as soon as next week.
Yeah, they missed the 5-time All-Star Chase Utley, out with a right oblique strain. And they want to make sure that he comes back 100% too. Those oblique strains sometimes take a long time to heal, and you go down maybe a little bit too early, you have a big swing, boom, you re-aggravate it again.
Down and in, missing, and it's 3-2. Fouled away into the seats. Now, you asked me about Pelfrey's last start, but I was 400 miles away watching it at home on TV. It appeared to me that toward the very end of his outing that he let bad umpires call kind of fluster him a little bit.
Yeah, he showed up. Tom Hallion was a home plate umpire, and he kind of just stood there for a while, and there's a ground ball to Justin. He'll take it himself for the first out, but yeah, you can't let that affect you, and that was in the 7th inning, and then he kind of unraveled after that.
One down. Steve LaRue will hit next. Tonight's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Last night's attendance of just over 30,000, and someone, unbeknownst to them, was the 10 millionth fan in Target Field history.
3+ years here at Target Field. Very nice. Twins thank all the fans for their support. to this beautiful ballpark.
Now, the Phillies were here a year ago, but their third base coach, Ryan Sandberg, was not. Sandberg's only experience in Major League Baseball in the Twin Cities was at the Metrodome, an exhibition series a long time ago, and in the 1985 All-Star game. Had a chance to talk with the Hall of Famer a little bit. Very impressed with this ballpark. Ryan Sandberg, some think if it's not Charlie Manuel, it might be Sandberg who will be the next Philly manager. 1-1.
Yeah, a lot of Cub fans surprised that he was not named the manager for the Chicago Cubs. It was Dale Swain that took that job.
I think Ryan Sandberg was a little surprised he wasn't named the Cub manager.
And that's why he's wearing a Philly uniform. Went into the Hall of Fame as a Chicago Cub.
But was with the Phillies for the beginning part of his professional playing career. Foul back. You know, it's I mean, Sandberg in the third base coach's box has aspirations of being a manager. On the last road trip we were in Kansas City, George Brett stepping back onto the field. Royals had a nice late inning comeback and an extra inning win over Detroit today. To me, that's great to see. Call third strike, 2 down. LaRue is called out on the pitch right at the belt.
Well, LaRue, the catcher for the Phillies, he'll remember this because that ball came back over the plate. And Pelfrey picked up his first strikeout.
Tomorrow, the 2013 Cigars and Baseball event benefiting the Miracle League. Register for an evening of cigar smoke, delicious food, fine drinks. Twins and the Phillies game at Target Field. To register and for more information, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on the events banner. I'm going to find my way to getting an invitation for that. What was it that Herb Carneal said about Halsey Hall? There's nothing Halsey enjoys more than the smell of a great cigar. Unfortunately, those aren't the ones that he smokes. Lifted down the right field line fairly deep, chased by Dilmit, and back into the seats. Anyway, getting back to Sandberg and Brett, you know, and you've been on TV now for 19 years. I think it's great for the game when the Hall of Famers, the greatest players like Sandberg, like Brett, like yourself, are more visible through one means or another. Here you are on TV. Twins fans can listen to you 100 times a year, just not in Detroit. But now Brett's back in uniform.
Get that knife out of my side.
Brett's back in uniform, and Sandberg is. And I just think it's great for the game to have the Hall of Famers visible.
It's in our blood. I don't care what Hall of Famer, it's in your blood. You know, Sandy Koufax, I understand, he just showed up at Dodger Stadium a little while ago. You know, he came back. That ball almost came back fair. Hit the side of that grass right there and kicked back toward third base bag.
You know, the hope would be that at some point Cal Ripken would be more visible for the Orioles than he is right now. Al Kaline went through that. He was a broadcaster, still helps out in uniform in spring training. Foul back. Ricky Henderson, I know, in Oakland is a regular visitor at the ball games in Oakland and is in uniform, I believe, for spring training.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan, the president of the Texas Rangers.
Can't be more visible than sitting right in the front row by the home team's dugout. 2-2 to Michael Young. Nolan Ryan signed his paycheck. Still is, I guess, signing most of his paychecks. 3-2.
Oh, 40 pitches for Mike Pelfrey. Trying to get this final out here in the second inning. 24 strikes, a walk, a strikeout. Giving up 3 hits, all of them coming in the first inning.
Full count to Young with 2 gone in the second. Crack bat, a dribbler to second. Escobar flips. Much better second inning for Mike Pelfrey. of the game. Text the word value followed by a space in the player's name to short code 234-234. Cleve Thomas, Eduardo Escobar, Pedro Florimon to bat in the second inning. And strike one to Thomas. Thomas hitless in the ball game last night. Fouled back. 2 strikes.
Yeah, Thomas 1 hit in 13 at bats so far. Just getting called up from AAA on June 3rd. AAA Rochester, of course.
High and tight, 1-2. Talked to Aaron Hicks a little bit this afternoon. He said his hamstring feels a lot better, which isn't to suggest anything in terms of his return to the lineup. There's a lot of work to do, he said, a lot of rehab. Wants to make sure that when he does come back, he's 100%.
Right.
That hits the pitcher in the calf, and Thomas will get an infield hit. Well, Cloyd stopped it, but then couldn't find it.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. I've been there before. The ball hits you in the shin or your lower body, and you expect that ball to pop up a little bit, which he did. He looked up, but the ball out in front of him, by the time he saw it and reacted, Thomas gets an infield base hit.
Eduardo Escobar, the batter. Escobar's average resurfacing toward the 250 mark. Heading back in the right direction. The Twins hope that will continue with Trevor Plouffe on the disabled list. The hope is Plouffe will get back here in a day or so to take over at third base. Ball 1. Twins individually, of course, have some hitters they'd like to get going. They'd like Morneau to hit a home run. They'd like Willingham to hit more in the 250, 260 range. But team-wide, they need guys like Escobar to get going, too.
Yeah, you got some great, Mauer's going to hit. Morneau's hitting. You expect Willingham's average to come up a little bit. Florimon's been doing a very good job, especially as a left-handed hitter.
Brian Dozier needs to get going. Here's a drive to center field. Revere going back and making the catch. Hit almost to the exact spot Arcia's ball was hit last night. This time Revere got there to make the catch.
Yeah, this ball had a little bit of more, I think a little more hang time, but Ben Revere able to get back with his speed. Ball left up. Escobar, maybe he thought that ball was gone, but Rivera made a nice catch. Roy Smalley, when you face a guy that's not going to throw 90, 92 miles an hour, you got to wait back a little longer, don't you?
I was going to ask you, Bert, you guys are sitting behind the plate and see the center field camera. I'm over here to the side.
Inside ball 1.
Just doesn't look to me like he's got how do I put this delicately? Overpowering stuff.
No.
I was thinking when Arcia was up there with the bases loaded, I'm watching Cloyd pitch. I said, man, he doesn't have anything to get this guy out with.
There goes the runner, and Florimon lifts it foul. Ron Gardenhire trying the hit and run. Well, that's kind of what I was saying, Roy. And then I think, to be fair, the at-bat was kind of taken away from Arcia because those 2 pitches outside were called strikes. If they were, as Fox Tracks showed, had they been called balls, I think Twins would have been in a really favorable position.
But I think what we're watching is a guy that knows he has to hit his spots to be successful. He can't rely on a 90+ mile an hour fastball. He has to hit his spots like that. Pretty good pitch right there, but missing inside.
Either has to hit his spots or the umpire's spots.
Well, there's been some great Hall of Fame pitchers. Ferguson Jenkins comes to mind. Catfish Hunter. Jim Perry in 1970 won the Cy Young, 24 ball games. Didn't have that 94 mile an hour fastball, but boy, could they hit their spot and change speeds.
And that wasn't. And the second part of your statement there, Bert, was more what I was talking about. I've seen cutters and sinkers. It looks like and one changeup maybe he's throwing more. That it's hard to tell from over here sometimes, but it just didn't look like he had the breaking stuff to at least in the Arcia case, for example, to really mess with him too much.
Well, here comes a little cutter slider.
And Florimon misses it. Strikeout for out number 2.
And Cloyd picks up his first strikeout.
So the Twins try the hit and run, and Florimon flipped his foul and then ends up striking out.
I think, Roy, you'd probably say this guy can give you a comfortable 0 for 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a few of those.
Hey, you know what? This guy, you look at his minor league numbers, 98 minor league starts, 49 wins, only 25 losses. He was the best pitcher in the Phillies minor league system last year.
Well, that tells you that he knows how to pitch, and
right.
The 2 pitches to Florimon there, the last 2 pitches gave you an idea. He came in hard. You were talking about hitting the spots. He came in real hard in off the plate. That gets a hitter in a hurry a little bit, worried about inside pitches. Then throws a nice little slider off of that pitch. So he does know how to pitch, it looks like, and I think he has to.
1 strike to Carroll. Thomas has some speed, and Carroll, of course, predominantly a singles hitter. We might see the Twins try to run here.
Twins, I think of Brad Radke. Brad Radke didn't have overpowering stuff, but boy, could he hit his spots and had a great career as a Twin.
1-1.
Mentioned earlier, Cloyd this is his 5th start of the year, and 3 of his 4 previous starts have been quality starts.
Twins were looking for a 2-out hit in the first. They got 1, Willingham's double, but they needed another one. Now they'll look for something good to result from this plate appearance. 1-1 to Carroll. Tapper left side. That's going to trickle through. So Carroll gets a hit. Thomas holding up at second, and that'll get Mauer to the plate with 2 men aboard.
Well, with always the possibility of a bunt, brings in that third baseman and cut down Young's range right there. Carroll just kind of snuck that ball. Not a bad pitch away. Just past the diving Young at third base. See where Young's playing. Cuts down that range. Carroll finding that hole.
Mauer drew a 4-pitch walk in the first inning. Outside, ball 1. You can't blame Cloyd for going out there, because in the Arcia at bat, that pitch was called a strike a couple of times. 1-0. Two and 0.
I said Cloyd is making his 5th start. This is his 6th start. He got called up on May 10th, made a start, and then was sent back down. This is his 5th start since his return. So 6th start overall.
To center, and Revere going back, and he's there for the catch. The Twins left 3 on in the first, 2 more in the second. And it's 2-0 Philadelphia. get interactive with us during the AT&T Twitter poll. Which catch was better, Ben Revere's over-the-shoulder catch, August 2011, or what we were treated to Monday afternoon from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Byron Buxton's diving catch? And last night, the balloting was split perfectly in half. Use the following hashtags to vote via Twitter. Hashtag Revere catch. Hashtag Buxton catch. And tonight will be your last night to vote.
Oh, boy. Get on the line.
Ben Revere, who made that catch. That catch was voted on by a number of sources as the catch of the year of 2011. Ben got to make the banquet circuit a lot, fly around the country because of that catch. Two-time Twins minor league player of the year. And Charlie Manuel says Manuel thinks that Revere's simply trying too hard. That's why the numbers are down from what they were in the American League. It's understandable. Phillies were expected to win. They have not been winning. The media pressure and the fan pressure in Philadelphia is infinitely stronger than it is in the Twin Cities.
You think? Well, Phillies come in 31-34 as a team record, 8 games behind the Atlanta Braves in third place. They are in the National League Eastern Division, and Pelfrey gets his second strikeout, his second called third strikeout.
Interesting night in baseball last night, and that's the subject of our carsoup.com/baseball question. Sam and Austin wondering what the take was up in the booth here on the excitement from the Diamondbacks and Dodgers bench clearing. I hesitate to call it a brawl, but a bench clearing situation last night.
Well, I tell you what, the only thing that I saw right there, I don't think, Kennedy tried to hit Free in where he hit him, and then Greinke retaliated by hitting, the hitter in the back. And then you can see mainly the coaches got involved and the managers got involved in the little pushing and shoving more than the players themselves.
I got to tell you, Bert, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that many staff people in a brawl.
Well, you guys know it's not a written rule. There's a ground ball hit sharply to Escobar. But isn't it an unwritten rule that the field staff, the coaches and the managers are supposed to be the peacemakers out there?
Well, they're supposed to be, but I think Mark McGwire went a little bit overboard with his anger. I just feel what Kennedy did to Greinke, he looked like he tried to hit him in the head. If you're going to hit somebody, do what Greinke did. Go toward the back of that hitter to protect. If anything, I think this is going to maybe light up the Dodgers a little bit, who need a little spark. I don't know how you feel, Roy, but the Dodgers are in last place, and they're trying to catch the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I think it's. I think you're only hurting yourself if you wake up a dog that's asleep, right? I mean, I agree with you, Bert. It can't be any worse, and this might rally them together a little bit.
Puig, who was at the very beginning of the whole situation when he was hit in the nose by a Kennedy pitch, is not in the lineup tonight for the Dodgers with a sore shoulder. So that's the biggest concern I would have in seeing all these people run together on the field.
He got a little overboard too. He kind of went in and started pushing and shoving, and maybe somebody pulled him back, and that's where the shoulder injury came from.
I will say this, that is the most intense melee I've ever seen without any punches really looking like they did. I'm telling you, there were guys screaming and yelling and pushing and shoving, and the scrum got really tight, and some big guys were in there, Mark McGwire and Don Baylor, and guys you wouldn't want to fight. And
Matt Williams.
I mean, these are some big, strong guys, and maybe that's why nobody did 20 punches, but that was as intense as I've seen without any.
Bounced up the line foul. Well, that's why I hesitated to call it a brawl, because to me, a brawl is there punches thrown and, all sorts of mayhem ensues on the field. And this was a lot of pushing and shoving and moving around. And kind of, to me, it looked like an electric football game, when all the players are in the middle of it, and they just kind of move around and nothing ever really happens.
I had that game.
I did too.
2-2. Here's a ball hit right at Florimone, who was in his spot, but the Twins had to shift down with Carroll on the right side of the infield. And another 1-2-3 inning. for Mike Belcher. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. A lot of men on base, nothing across for the Twins. Ryan Doman hit the ball hard his first time up. He will lead off the third. Doman, Willingham, and Morneau, the top 3 RBI guys for the Twins. And Doman takes ball 1. Sky to short left. Rollins giving way to Dominic Brown. 1 down. Before the game tonight, Drew LeBlanc, the reigning Hobie Baker winner in college hockey, threw out the ceremonial first pitch. LeBlanc and his former St. Cloud State teammates at the game tonight. Go Huskies! For NCHC night at Target Field, the Huskies will join Colorado College, the University of Denver, Miami University, the University of Minnesota Duluth, University of Nebraska at Omaha, University of North Dakota, Western Michigan University, and the new hockey conference. Conference tournament set to take place at Target Field's next door neighbor, Target Center. 1-0 to Josh Willingham, who doubled to the left field corner his first time up. Huskies made it to the Frozen Four. Outside 2-0.
Is that a good thing for St. Cloud State?
Well, it all is due to the dissolving of the WCHA, and so it's a new hockey conference for those schools. A strike. 2-1. The Gophers and Wisconsin and so on and so forth going into the Big Ten conference. 2-1. Willingham hoping to get something going here against Tyler Cloyd. A little bit low. 3-1. Cloyd's been living right. Twins loaded the bases in the first inning and didn't get a run across. A couple of hits and 2 men aboard in the second inning. No damage done. Swing and a foul. 3-2.
Well, I think that's what Roy touched on. He's not overpowering, and that's kind of what the way he goes about his business. His last start was the last win for the Phillies. That was that first game of a 4-game series against the Brewers. He worked 6 2/3 innings, gave up only 4 hits, no runs. He did walk 5 with a couple strikeouts, but the Phillies won 5-1.
Skied again. Left of the mound. Rollins comes in. 2 down. And it'll bring up Morneau. Set your compass due north. Thursday nights on Fox Sports North. Bill Shirk, Laura Schera. Take a look at the stories and adventures of outdoor enthusiasts in the upper Midwest. Due North Outdoors. Tomorrow at 6 only on Fox Sports North. Missed my chance again last night to load up on night crawlers. Had a little evening shower overnight by my house, and the night crawlers were out, but I was sound asleep.
They are edible.
Yes, we proved that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Over by the tarp and out of play, 1 strike. Morneau ended up walking in the first inning when we were talking about taking what a pitcher gives you. Morneau, to get more drivable pitches in the inner half of the plate, might have to do more with the pitches on the outer half of the plate.
Cloyd right now, everything. Now he's going inside. He left the ball out over the plate, and Justin fouled a straight back. You know, you as a pitcher, you go away enough. You get those hitters start to lean. Then that's when you start going back inside.
Guys, I talked to Justin around the batting cage today, and he said, you know, I'm just going back to my left center field approach. That's what I need to do. I'm a line drive hitter. I'd like to hit home runs. Home runs will come, especially in other parks. This is a big place. He said, I can't let this park get to me. I got to hit the gaps again.
A little bit low, 2-2. Well, there's no question that Justin's hit some balls hard to right center here. He hit one last night that would be out in a lot of ballparks, but they aren't out here. So the temptation, I guess, is natural. You'd want to pull the ball a little bit more to hit it to the short wall in right field rather than the long wall in right center. Full count to Morneau. Snapped his bat. It'll be a slow bouncer to Galvis. And Tyler Floyd goes through 3, 4, and 5 hitters in 1, 2, 3 fashion.
Has been elected into the Minnesota Broadcasting Hall of Fame. There you are, nice jump shot.
Thank you.
He'll be inducted in at a gala on September 29th. Dick has been the Twins television play-by-play announcer, of course, for over the last 30 years. 30 years of doing this.
Yeah, I've been really lucky, and I've been lucky to work with some great professionals.
Including me on that?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Bouncer to second, backhanded by Escobar. One out, but I think you'd agree we have the chance here to work with people who take their jobs very seriously, make it fun for us. And so 30 years, I don't know where the time's gone, but
well, I like what you always say. You know what? Look at that. They pay me to come to a ball game. Isn't that awesome?
You know, I appreciate you digging up the old pictures, too. Now, I don't know if you saw the one of me holding the bat that was bigger than I was. I don't know if you went through that. In Dumont, Minnesota, the only bats we had, we didn't have, short Little League bats. We had to use the bats that
the big boys
were cracked from the town team, and they were all 34-inch, 33-ounce monsters, and so we had to choke up like to the trademark to have a chance of swinging those things. Even our little, I mean, well, look at those arms. How's somebody with arms like that going to swing? And there I am grabbing it down at the end, too, like that. That's pretty impressive. But all the electrician's tape, because somebody cracked that bat.
Probably a couple nails in there.
Yeah. Anyway, we'd usually choke up to about the trademark, and then the knob would hit us in the ribs when we'd swing. 2-1.
Well, Pelfrey has settled down since that first inning. He's retired the last 8 straight Philadelphia Phillies.
And a called strike.
Gelman, an RBI single in that 2-run first inning. Jumped on that first pitch. Base hit to right field. Phillies had that, now still have that 2-0 lead.
Three and 2. Young had some ankle surgery. You see John Mayberry Jr. on deck. Young had some ankle surgery during the offseason, and Pelfrey strikes him out. Pelfrey's on a big-time roll since the first inning.
Yeah, 9 straight retired by Pelfrey, picking up his 3rd strikeout and his first swinging strikeout. Good fastball. You see Gelman a little late on that fastball.
Mayberry ended the first inning with a fly ball to center.
Yeah, 22 in the first, 19-13, 8 so far here in the 4th.
Chop foul, 1 strike. Phillies toward the end now of a tough road trip. Phillies with 4 games in Milwaukee, 3 here in Minnesota. Then they go to Colorado for 3, so I guess they're about halfway through that. Kind of a critical point in the season. As you pointed out, the Phillies have struggled. They were above the 500 mark, now back below it in a division with a really good Atlanta team. The Twins have some issues, and they've got some things they need to work out. But at least in their division, they don't have somebody with nearly 40 wins already. And Phillies 7.5 games back. Tigers had a 2-0 lead today. Jose Valverde gave up a game-tying home run to Lorenzo Cain, and then the Royals won it in the 10th. The Royals continue to play good baseball.
Well, they need some of their key players to get back on that field, too. Pitchers like Roy Halladay. You know, we mentioned Chase Utley. Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, the everyday catcher.
1-2. Two and 2. Pelfrey in one of those roles that he had going in Kansas City. 1, 2, 3 innings. And if you can put 3 of them together, as he is on the verge of doing, that's pretty impressive. Rough first inning, but now 3 straight 1, 2, 3 innings, and 10 men in a row retired. the ball game. Our Pepsi fan of the game, another youngster, has his glove at the ready.
Yeah, he brought his glove. With a Mauer little shirt. Very nice.
Hoping the Twins can come back and win this game. It's 2-0 Philadelphia. Arcia, Thomas, and Escobar will hit for the Twins in the 4th. Driven deep down the right field line near the pole, if not over it. That ball is a foul ball. I've never seen a ball clear the foul pole here by 50 feet.
That just shows the strength that he has. Remember in last night's ball game, he got a breaking ball and hit it over the head of Ben Revere in straightaway center. It almost looked like he was off balance a little bit, but that spinner hit a long way, but foul.
I got to tell you guys, that ball was killed, and it looked like it went over the pole to me.
And up the middle, Galvis struggles a little bit, and Arcia will get a base hit.
Yeah, Galvis slipped a little bit on the grass. He was playing on the grass, took a couple steps, and then lost his footing. And couldn't try to get that ball, so Arcia with the hit, the 4th hit for the Twins.
So a leadoff single for Arcia, and Roy, you of course don't have any better angle than we have up here. It looked here like it went over the pole, but Scotty Ultra, the first base coach, and Arcia himself going down the line probably had the best angle on it. Neither one looked like they were upset about it.
Well, Scotty looked in at the dugout like he was perplexed.
Is that right?
Yeah, he really did. Excuse me. He didn't argue. Maybe after the call in the first inning on Revere, he didn't know what to say to the to first base umpire. But he looked perplexed about it, like, gosh, that looks fair to me. Is there something wrong with my eyesight?
Well, as an umpire, I don't suppose you're trained to look that far over the foul pole. I mean, that ball literally, fair or foul, cleared the pole by about 50 feet vertically.
Right, and I think that's what was confusing Scotty too. I think Scotty thought it was fair, but couldn't. Thought it went over the pole, but couldn't argue because it was so high over the pole, as you say, Dick, that it was really. It's hard to tell. But it was way deep too.
1-1 with Arcia at first. Thomas got an infield hit. His first time up, hit a smash against the pitcher, and now this one headed back our way, 1-2. Well, who knows? Maybe by the time Arcia's career is done here, they'll have to extend the foul pole another 50 feet, and then Boston will have its pesky pole, and we'll have the Arcia pole.
Right.
Two and one. Just missing the inside corner, and the count is 2-2. The count was 1-2. Well, at the Metrodome, that was never as big of an issue because the ball always landed. See, just at the lower edge of the strike zone. 2-2 to Thomas. And foul back, but at the Metrodome, you hit it over, wasn't even a pole, it was a mesh screen and some paint that was splattered up on the facing of the upper deck, but you could see where the ball was because it was in the seating area right above the pole, or what passed for the pole. 2-2 to Clink Thomas. And another one lifted foul over the tarp and out of play. Thomas given an opportunity. There's no other way to put it. Given what has happened to Aaron Hicks, Thomas re-signing with the Twins, hoping for a chance like this, and now he's got the chance. There's a drive to right center field. It is hit to the gap, off the base of the wall. Arcia around third. They're going to hold him. He's going to come through and score. Joe Vavra put up the stop sign, and Arcia blew it and scored.
Well, Clay Thomas with his first extra base hit, driving in his first run this year for the Twins. Looked like another little cutter that just stayed right there. Revere gets it back in. Of course, Revere doesn't have the strongest arm. Arcia with his head down runs right past Joe Vavra, and the relay throw was mishandled, and that allowed Arcia to score.
Joe Vavra giving the international signal for stop there.
Here's Escobar. Drove one to the center field wall. Caught by Revere in the second inning. And Escobar knows what his job is here. One means or another. He needs to make sure that Thomas ends up at least third base. Chipped foul, 2 strikes.
Yeah, and how do you do that? You can bunt him over, or you have to make sure, and again, Floyd not overpowering. You try to make sure that you pull that ball on the ground towards second base or first.
Escobar hitting 8th. Florimone will hit behind him.
You know, Bert, you just move your contact point out a little bit. You look way out in front of you and just relax and throw the big end of the bat out in front. Make contact with the ball out in front. Get it started that direction. They give you 2 strikes to do that.
Sounds simple, Roy.
Well, you got to work on it in batting practice. They were working on different things today in batting practice, Matt. That's another thing you can work on.
There it is. That'll work. Base hit to right. Thomas got a real late break, and he'll honor the stop sign. Escobar with a base hit. First and third, nobody out.
You know, and Roy, I'm sure, and it's exactly what Escobar tried to do, was pull that ball, and he did get the barrel of the bat out, but he got rewarded with a base hit.
If you watch it right here, right at the very end, he flips the bat out in front of him on that breaking ball. Could be a questionable pitch, trying to not to let the guy hit the ball to the right side. A little breaking ball, a little bit easier to pull the ball for a left-hand hitter.
Certainly a conservative break from second base by Clete Thomas, but that's what you want, right, Roy?
Yeah, with nobody out, there's absolutely no way that you can take a chance on that ball being caught. Maybe a diving catch by the outfielder.
Florimone takes outside a ball. He struck out his first time out. Tying run at third. Middle infielders playing back. Young, however, playing a step or two in front of the bag at third.
Twins with 3 straight hits here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
And Florimone swings and misses, 1-1. Florimone entered the game hitting .276 from this side of the plate. Missing inside, 2-1.
He has 20 RBIs on the year, 15 coming from the left side of the plate.
On strike, 2-2. The Twins have gotten the minimum out of the maximum against Tyler Cloyd. Left the bases full in the first, 2 on in the second. Now 3 straight hits at the very least. Florimone wants to get this game tied up in this at bat. And he gets him on a cutter inside, 1 down.
And for the second time, Florimone goes down on strikes. The only batter that Floyd has been able to strike out. And he needed a strikeout here. Runners at first and third. A little cutter inside, like you mentioned, Dick. The first out of the inning.
Now Carroll. A foul out and a single. Little pressure, I guess, on Tyler Cloyd to continue to pitch well. He's done just fine so far in his audition. Bounce to the right side. It's Galvis to Rollins. Rollins to Howard. And somehow the Twins don't tie the game up, getting just the 1 run in the 4th.
Inning. I'm Jamie Hirsch inside the Minnesota Lottery Winners Circle. We're here with Connie and Dan coming all the way from the Mankato area. And Connie, you actually won tickets to tonight's game with a little bit of luck and a lot of skill. Tell me, how'd you win?
A trivia question on the local radio station that broadcasts the Twins games. It's KTOE in Mankato.
And the question?
What number does Byron Buxton wear in the minor leagues?
And of course, you knew the answer. That's fantastic. So she's here tonight already with a little bit of luck. We're going to give you $100 worth of scratch-off tickets from the Minnesota Lottery. Thanks for being in our winner's circle.
Thank you.
Taking a break.
All right. Thank you, Jamie.
Congratulations. You are hereby circled.
What do you think the chances are of Byron Buxton, assuming he gets to the Major League Club, of him wearing number 7?
Not very good.
Freddie Galvis, the batter, 1-1 the count, 2-1.
Well, Pelfrey on a roll. He has retired 10 straight Phillies.
I don't think I have ever seen what I have seen here in the attendance in the crowd here tonight. Galvis retired. When's the last time you saw fans watching the Twins that have the T-shirt of a low Class A player? They're sitting right in front of us. They've got Byron Buxton T-shirts. They're Cedar Rapids Colonels T-shirts. But that's how aware fans are of the #1 draft pick from 2012.
Yeah, the couple right there might be from Cedar Rapids. They might just drive up, and enjoy a Twins game.
When Marnie Gellner was down in Cedar Rapids on Monday as part of the telecast, she did a hit from the gift shop down there, and they're selling Byron Buxton T-shirts. They're in some demand up here in the Twin Cities because everyone thinks it will be not very long before he makes his appearance with the big league club. 1-1. All he did was get 3 hits with the TV cameras on him and cover center field like Willie Mays.
Oh, what a night to have a great night, too. All that coverage, made some great catches. And then last night, what's he do? 0 for 5. He struck out twice.
Hey, you got to know when the camera's on.
That's right. That's what I said. Here's a catch right here. Look at that. Superman left the earth right there to make a great catch.
2-1 to LeRude.
Thumbs up to you, young man.
2-2. Just a contrast for me because, when I started doing this back in the early to mid 80s, fans didn't know who the Twins major league center fielder was. And now fans are so aware of Byron Buxton, they show up at Twins games with his jersey number already. 2-2. Missed the inside corner. It's a full count. Phillies 5-6 for the month of June. Last year was a dreadful 9-19 June for them, and they disappeared from the race and never really reappeared. Fouled away.
And again, you saw Joe Mauer with the finger polish, just so you can make sure that you see. Sometimes there's shadows at different ballparks. So Mauer with that polish did the 1 and then kind of circled the 1. That means the 2-seamer. Sinker down. There it is again. Give it to me down in the strike zone.
Mauer hangs on. 12 in a row set down by Mike Pelfrey.
And 5 strikeouts for Mike Pelfrey. Second time he's had 5 strikeouts in a ball game this year.
You can get fed and entertained at very favorable prices at a Twins game throughout the season. The Sports Authority Value Pack Tuesdays and Thursdays include a ticket, hot dog, and a soft drink. This and other special deals available every day of the week at twinsbaseball.com/tickets or by calling 800-33-TWINS. Here's a drive to the right field corner, chased by Domit, and he'll play the bounce. And Michael Young with a 2-out double in the 5th inning, breaking a string of 12 straight, retired by Pelfrey.
Well, good piece of hitting by Michael Young. Again, almost 23 major league hits. Just took that pitch the other way. Right into that corner. Ryan Domit could only play the carom.
Guy's a professional hitter. He really is. He's been doing it for a long time, and he knows how to use the whole field. Just a real professional hitter.
Yeah, came into this year a .301 career hitter. He won the American League batting title, Michael Young did, back in 2005 when he hit .331.
Driven foul off the bat of Revere. I wonder if there's almost a sense of relief for Young to get out of Texas. He was the face of that franchise through some lean years and the recent successful years, but it was not the smoothest last couple of years for Young. They kept moving him around and position to position. And at least for this year, he'll finish out the contract he signed with the Rangers with the Phillies. Hacked foul, 2 strikes. No, you don't. Young, to my knowledge, did everything the Rangers asked him to do. He, as Roy said, a professional hitter, meant so much to that team. When there wasn't a better reason to come to the ballpark, fans came to watch Michael Young hit.
And play the game.
Yeah.
Played it hard, played it the right way, wants to win all the time.
2 strikes to Ben Revere. It seemed like it was an ugly end to an otherwise great career for Young in Texas.
Well, he's part of that, Texas Ranger club that went to the World Series a couple times. They lost, but he was one of the leaders on that ball club.
Doesn't have the power that he once had. Charlie Manuel says he thinks that'll come eventually. He'll get a few more balls airborne and hit them into the seats in Philadelphia. Revere takes up and in, 1-2. The Rangers this year are going to induct Pudge Rodriguez into their Hall of Fame, and apparently they invited Juan Gonzalez for the honor, and he declined. He didn't have the best of departures from the Rangers. Two and 2. Where was that?
Well, they went inside last 2 times, a little bit high on that previous pitch, but this looked like a nasty, good fastball, middle in. See what Foxtrax says about this pitch.
Well, it was inside. I trust Foxtrax.
Maybe you see just a little bit.
Yeah, don't talk about the plate growing to 47 inches or whatever you say. 3 and 2. That's into short center. Thomas hustling in, and he won't get there. It's a base hit. And Ben Revere with an RBI single. Scoring Young, and a pair of 2-out hits makes it 3-1.
That's where that one pitch, you're just talking about, a quarter of an inch, not called a strike. It looked like they tried to go back in there again, but the ball was up a little bit. So good 2-out hitting here for the Phillies. Revere just softly hits that ball. You can see that Thomas, not playing very deep, comes in, has to play it on the hop, and Revere picks up an RBI, his 7th of the year on his 2nd hit.
Here's Jimmy Rollins.
Got to look for Revere to try to steal here. Throw over, what the Twins are thinking.
Run scoring's been an issue for the Phillies. 65 games, and they've scored 3 runs or less in most of them. 35 of the 65 games, they haven't scored more than what they've scored here tonight. Popped up. Florimone retreats to the outfield grass. He wants it. Now he gives way to Arcia. That ends the inning. The Phillies put together a couple of 2-out hits to add another run. Revere driving in his 7th run of the year, and the Twins' deficit is 2 again. Nate Pelfrey had a nice little rhythm going, retired 12 men in a row, but then Michael Young hit a double, Revere hit a single, and it's a 3-1 ball game. Mauer, Doment, and Willingham will hit in the 5th. Outside, ball 1. Started to say in the bottom of the 4th inning that there might be a little added pressure, intrigue at least for Cloyd, because the Phillies have Carlos Zambrano pitching well down at their AAA spot of Lehigh Valley, and there's an escape clause for Zambrano. If he's not called up at a certain point, then he'd be a free agent. Somebody certainly would bite on him and add him to the big league club. 3-0 as Cloyd continues to try to hit that outside corner.
Well, one thing about Cloyd, this is his 12th major league start. 8 of his first 11 major league starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less.
And Mauer draws a leadoff walk.
And first walk for Cloyd since the first inning, his 3rd of the ball game, 2nd time he's walked Joe Mauer.
Fox Sports is proud to team with Feeding America, a nationwide network of food banks that helps feed more than 37 million people in America each year through pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. Visit feedingamerica.org/Fox Sports to learn how you can fight hunger in your community. Together, we're Feeding America. Ryan Doma with a liner to center and a short fly ball to left. Ball 1. Can an umpire do a pitcher a disservice by calling some pitches off the plate, as we saw during the Arcia at bat, and then not call that pitch a strike after that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want an umpire to do. You want him to be consistent. If he's going to give you that outer half of the plate, continue to give it to you. Don't change from inning to inning. That's the hardest thing sometimes as a pitcher. What will that umpire give me? What will he not give me?
1-1 to Doment. And a bouncer foul. You told the story once about it was a Durwood Merrill who talked and said, I'm going to give you that pitch, early in the game, but not.
Yeah, this was in spring training. It had to be 1987, maybe 88. Baseball wanted to raise that strike zone back to the letter. And Durwood Merrill came in spring training. I got all the pitchers together, and he went over that.
That's pulled. Nice stop out at first, and there'll be no throw with Mauer going head first into second base. Howard caught the ball, slapped his glove on the base for the out, but did not throw to second.
Yeah, he slipped a little bit, and Joe Mauer off with the crack of the bat. Howard making a nice play as he comes off the bag, and Domet hits it down that first baseline. Howard right there, and then decided not to throw. But anyway, Durwood Merrill said, we've got to start calling that high fastball for a strike. But, Bert, it's going to be hard for me or other umpires to call it strike 3. So we said, well, wait a minute. If you're going to call strike 1, strike 2, why isn't it strike 3? He said, well, that's high.
That's Durwood.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so your advice to the umpire was to not.
Don't don't call that one because we're going to expect it if it's strike 3.
1-0 to Willingham.
But that was Durwood Merrill.
So you a pitcher discouraged an umpire from calling strikes.
Well, don't give me that high strike, 1 strike 1, strike 2, and won't give it to me strike 3. Why do I want it?
See, it's an attitude like that is causing a lengthening of the game. 1-1. Willingham takes ball 2.
Durwood called a strike on me one time, guys, with ball down and away, and I said, Durwood, that pitch is a ball. He said, Hall of Fame pitch. Well, Hall of Fame pitch. I said, yeah, it's going to keep me out of it. And it did.
Durwood Merrill, there's a lot of Durwood Merrill stories out there. Nolan Ryan, they're both from Texas. Nolan Ryan, Durwood Merrill, and he's pitching against us. Good off-speed pitch right there by Cloyd. He's pitching against us in Texas. Durwood's behind the plate. Nolan, the ball isn't gotten the home plate yet, and Durwood's already got that right hand up. And we're screaming at Durwood, that ball has to cross the plate before you call it a strike.
2-2 to Willingham. Tried to tie the game up with that last swing. Twins need to at least get one back here in the 5th. Tap foul. Willingham with a double into the left field corner. Another smash with topspin rather than backspin. And then he popped up, hit a towering pop up, caught by Rollins in the 3rd. Inside, missed, barely, 3-2.
He tried that little cutter middle in. Floyd with 94 pitches in the ball game. 7 3-ball counts so far for Floyd against the Twins.
Full count, and Willingham asked for time. Twins got the leadoff man on in the 4th and scored Arcia with Thomas's double. Leadoff single in the 2nd. Thomas got as far as second base. Now trying to score with a leadoff walk in the 5th. A high fly to left field. A mile in the air. Back and caught at the wall. So Willingham with maybe too much backspin on that ball. 2 down.
Well, he just got underneath that just a little bit. I thought that ball was out. But Brown right against the wall. He did the right thing, Brown did. He went back to the wall and then kind of waited for that ball to come down. Almost a 2-run home run. Would have tied the game.
Yeah, he just got under it, guys. You could tell from down here the sound just wasn't quite right. I didn't think I actually am surprised it went as far as it did. He hit that 3/8 of an inch below. down toward the bottom of the ball. A little too much backspin.
And now Morneau spins one over the screen. 1 strike. Morneau with a 2-out walk in the 1st inning and a bouncer to 2nd.
The double at 102 miles an hour hit speed. His 2nd at bat. A pop up.
Chip foul over the Philly dugout. 2 strikes.
I showed you the last one. The deep left field for an out.
Twins have left 6 on. Phillies have left 3 on. Two strikes to Morneau. Up and in. Last road trip, I said I have no idea when Justin's next home run is going to come. But the one after that's probably going to come within 10 at bats. I think he just needs an icebreaker at this point. 1 and 2. Pulled to first. And Howard has it. And the Twins lead Mauer at second base. It's a 3-1 ball game after 5. Ben Revere's infield hit in the first.
Yeah, see Ben Revere hustling right there, and you can see Justin definitely tagging him on the shoulder before he can get to the bag, but first base umpire Bruce Streckman said he did not tag him.
And what followed led to 2 runs, and of course we have a difference of 2 runs on the game. Rollins singled, there was a walk, but then a sacrifice fly, which would have been the 3rd out. Young's single wouldn't have happened in the first inning. Ifs and buts were candy and nuts. Here's Ryan Howard.
Merry Christmas.
Howard drew a walk in the first inning and bounced to short. One and one. Kansas City Royals.
All 3 breaking balls, slow breaking balls so far.
Kansas City Royals with a dramatic win at home. Nice to see, I guess, the Royals doing better at home after losing 11 straight at home. There's that spinning index finger for a sinking fastball. Escobar to Pelfrey from short right field. The shift pays off. Warno went for the ball, and Pelfrey got to where he needed to be.
And that's your job right there as a pitcher. You get over there once that ball is hit to the right side of the diamond. You can see the defense past Justin, hit ball sharply, but there's Escobar in short right field leading Pelfrey. And once you get to that bag, you become the first baseman. You don't run through that bag. Pelfrey did it right, and Howard the first out.
You know, Bert, I've taken part in a lot of pitchers fielding practice in spring training, throwing with pitchers. I've never worked on that one.
You've never been in right field?
I've never been quite that far out. That was a nice play.
Make the case, I guess, for Howard hitting 2 hard ground balls into the twin shift each time. Grounded out sharply to Florimone, who was shifted over towards second base, but he was the only infielder on the left side of the infield because the Twins had the extreme shift that Howard hit into here leading off the 6th. 2 strikes to Dominic Brown.
Going inside. Brown fouling it straight back. Heading the count. You want to make sure you get that fastball in.
Oh, 2 to Dominic Brown. Missed inside.
You know, Pelfrey struggled a little bit in that first inning. He gave up 3 hits. You know, that hit to Ben Revere, questionable. But really, since then, he's really settled down. Anytime a starter goes out there, it's always that first couple innings. You want to try to find that groove. And a pretty good pitch right there. And he gets his 6th strikeout of the ball game. Just working in and out. Had him set up for a fastball in. Remember, 0-2 he went in, but Brown fouled it off. He went back in again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gets the strikeout.
Delman Young, the batter, an RBI single and a swinging strikeout.
Pelfrey's high in strikeouts, 7 in Cleveland earlier this year, back in early May.
1-0 to Young. And a strike call.
One thing that we have seen from Pelfrey, I think from game 1, his first start, Dick, to now, quicker pace, just a little more aggressive in the strike zone.
And I think from the fan standpoint, what they have seen is something with which to work. You know, a nice sequence early in the game after the 2 runs, albeit, but, you know, one, good inning after another, and maybe some promise that Twins fans didn't see in the first couple starts of the year.
I agree. I mean, he was at the point where I think fans were starting to say, well, what do we have here? Well, right now, last couple starts have been very consistent for Mike Pelfrey.
And another 1-2-3 inning in the sixth. McDonald's, quench your thirst. Get any size soft drink or sweet tea for just $1. By Toyota, let's go places. To find your nearest Toyota dealer and check out our current offers, visit buyatoyota.com. And by the new Chicken Fajita Sub, only at Quiznos. 3-1 Phillies in front. Mike Pelfrey looks ready to go back out for more, but Tyler Cloyd has been taken out of the ball game with 2 lefties and 2 switch hitters due up next. Phillies will bring a lefty in, Joe Savory.
Yeah, Savory coming in, making his 3rd stint with the Phillies, just his 3rd appearance of the year. Been up and down the last couple of years for the Phillies.
Savory facing Arcia, Thomas, and then the switch hitters Escobar, and the Twins hope Florimon, Carroll, so on and so forth. Foul back to the screen, 1 strike. Cleveland has a 5-1 lead over Texas. The Indians hoping to rebound after their rough stretch. They had one almost similar in scope to what the Twins had with their 10-game losing streak. 1 strike, and Arcia takes a ball.
Just showed you Tyler Cloyd right there. Tyler, I thought he pitched well. He had that one little hiccup in the 4th inning. Other than that, he changed speeds well, hit his spots. Another good outing.
To me, you get somebody who's inexperienced, and one of the measures you'd have to look at is how they did when the inning had a chance to blow up on them. And in each case, in the 1st inning and again in the 4th, did a pretty good job. Here's Arcia fouling one back. Twins had the bases loaded. Granted, there were 2 out, but the bases loaded. And he got Arcia. And then in the 4th, when the inning started with 3 hits, he got out of that inning with just the 1 run allowed.
Right.
1-2 to Oswaldo Arcia. And now 2-2. Bullpen has been an Achilles heel for the Phillies. 3rd worst bullpen ERA in the National League, and that's with Jonathan Papelbon, who's been at his best so far this year. And Arcia gets a base hit against the lefty. His second single of the ball game, second leadoff hit.
Tell you what, that's very good hitting for this young 22-year-old. I mean, it looked like a breaking ball away from Slavery, and he just went with it. Didn't try to pull it. Ball left up a little bit. Good piece of hitting.
Well, you're right, Bert, and this is the kind of thing, if he will learn to do that against left-handers, he's going to be better and better sooner and sooner. It looked like right from the very beginning of that at bat, he gave up on trying to pull the ball and thought to himself, I'm just going to go the other way with it. That was really, really good hitting by the youngster.
Thomas tried to tie it up, a swing and a miss. Good night so far for Thomas. An infield hit and a double to the wall in right center field, driving in the lone Twins run. Talking during that at bat about how this is an opportunity for Thomas, and frankly, Cleat probably would tell you he doesn't know how many more of these he's going to have.
We're talking about the Arcia at bat and how he waited on that breaking ball. You can see how far he let the ball get back over the plate. If he were trying to pull that ball, he would have swung over the top of it, but he let it get back, what we call deep in the zone, lined it to left. Good hitting.
1-1 to Thomas. And a 3-hit night for Cleat Thomas. Arcia to second, and the Twins greet the left-hander with 2 hits from left-handed batters.
Well, there's another good hit right there by a left-hander, taking the pitch the other way. Ball down in the strike zone, and Thomas finding his stroke here tonight. Just taking that pitch the other way.
Can I say ditto?
Yeah.
Ditto, what we were just talking about? He did the exact same thing. Good hit. You're right, Bert. Right on.
And Roy, I think you can appreciate this more than most. Thomas was told by the Twins, look, we like you as a player, but you need to work on some things. You need to make more consistent contact and not try to pull everything. And for Thomas to be rewarded in that at bat is a really good sign for somebody who admittedly is trying to reinvent himself as a hitter.
Absolutely right. He was sent down and shortened his swing, and he's done that.
Here's Escobar squaring and taking a strike.
I think the biggest thing too, Roy, is that Thomas realized he's not a home run hitter. He's that type of hitter. Make contact. You know, the doubles will come like he did when he got the RBI double in the 4th, but mainly get on base. That's his job right there.
That's absolutely right. And the more hits he has like that, the more pitches will turn into home runs as well. He can hit the ball in the ballpark.
Savory to first, and Escobar completes the sacrifice. The tying runs at second.
Yeah, you're asked to bunt, and you do it. Escobar with his first sacrifice of the year, advancing the runners to second and third.
Watch how still his bat, the big end of his bat stays. He just lets the ball hit the bat, deadens it out in front. That's perfect. Just textbook technique right there.
Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, to the mound. Florimo, as we've detailed, a much better hitter from the left side of the plate, but on a night when he struck out twice as a left-handed batter, who knows? He'll look to get a big hit as a right-hander.
It's nice to go to the other side.
Michael Stutz warming up. Twins want contact here from Florimo. He struck out with the tying run at third.
Yeah, same thing they wanted in the 4th inning, you know, contact, but he ended up striking out.
Down and in, raised his back foot to avoid being hit. Ball 1.
Guys, I really think this is a very important at bat for Florimo and for the Minnesota Twins. In this last streak where on the road and then coming home, we've documented they haven't hit real well with runners in scoring position, but they're 0 for 11 hitting a runner in from third in less than 2 out. They added another 2 failures here tonight so far. I think this is very important.
I agree.
Taking a low, 2-0.
not only that, to get the score to at least a 1-run score in the 6th inning is very important. So,
well, your Uncle Gene Mock always said in this situation right here, just get a ground ball past the pitcher. It's an RBI right there.
Right.
Infield back. Just don't hit it to Young or Howard.
Squirted up the line, and Arcia is going to score. He got a good break from third base. It's a 3-2 ball game, and Thomas moves up to third.
Arcia scores for the second time, and Florimone does make contact.
Wasn't solid contact.
But he picks up the RBI, his 21st for the year. Looks like he got jammed a little bit right there, but kind of fisted this ball down that first baseline. Savory has only one play, and that's to tag out Florimone as Arcia scores.
Yeah, he only had one play because Arcia got a really nice jump off the third base. Read that it was to the right of the pitcher and not right back to him.
And another chance for Jamie Carroll, wrapped into an inning-ending double play in that 4th inning rally. Tying run at third, 2 down. And Carroll watches it into the glove, strike 1. Room up the middle of the infield and into center field. We'll see if Carroll can get a hit there. Flared foul, 2 strikes. Sanford Health injury report. Trevor Plouffe last night in Rochester, a home run. Came off the 7-day concussion list and went right on the 15-day list with a strained left calf. Eligible to come off the disabled list tomorrow. 2 strikes to Carroll. Just missed the inside corner. How do you take a pitch that close?
Because you can't hit it.
That's what I'd have done.
Oh, good fastball, 90 mile an hour, just a bit inside.
1-2. Set up inside again. Carroll bounces it foul. Nineteenth pitch of the inning for Savory. He's given up a couple of hits and so far 1 run. Carroll chops another foul. One and 2. The Twins' third baseman. Breaking pitch after breaking pitch.
Well, he missed with a fastball in, and then the sliders in, and Carroll fouling him off. Lee Thomas at third base with 2 outs. Savory, the Phillies' #1 pick, 19th overall in the 2007 draft out of Rice University. Going back inside again.
And Carroll ready for it, but he couldn't do much other than pull that ball foul.
Get out of my kitchen. Well, everything has been middle in here in the last 4 or 5 pitches with Jamie Carroll.
Morneau got his big hit in the 8th inning last night against Antonio Bastardo. And Carroll trying to get a big one here against Savory. Hit right to Galvis. And the Twins get one and leave one. It's a 3-2 game after 6. casino story of the game.
Hey, 3 hits for Cleet Thomas here tonight. Infield hit in the first inning, RBI double in the 4th, and then a base hit in the 6th inning. Mike Pelfrey, 6 very good innings. Did give up 2 runs on 3 hits in the first inning, but has settled down nicely. Well, one of those hits, Ben Revere with 2 outs in the 5th inning, scored the 3rd run for the Phillies, and Florimon picking it up an RBI as Arcia scores for the 2nd time in the game.
John Mayberry Jr. takes strike 1 from Mike Pelfrey. 3 runs allowed, yet another step forward for Pelfrey as he's throwing pitches here in the 7th inning.
That was 100th pitch right there for Pelfrey.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Now it's one thing to throw pitches in that extra inning. It's another to get outs. And that's what Pelfrey would love to do here. Not just start the inning, but finish it.
Right.
Casey Fiend warming up just in case.
Yeah, the most pitches he's thrown in an outing so far in Detroit, 110 pitches. 97 pitches last outing in Kansas City in 6 1/3 innings.
Up high.
Well, one thing Gardy talked about, the starting staff in April and May, they weren't really going into the 7th inning. They were lucky to get out of the 6th inning, where now Gardy said, you know what, I've got to let that pitch count mount a little bit. We need to go deeper in the ball game, take some of the wear and tear out of that bullpen. That's what Pelfrey's out here for right here. Try to get 7 good innings.
Fastball still at 92, missing inside.
He's given up only 5 hits, 3 of those coming in the 1st inning. The other 2 in the 5th. Wow, good pitch.
And he hits the corner. And called 3rd strike.
And strikeout number 7. His 4th called strike 3 out of the 7 strikeouts. Good fastball. Right there.
Well, the location of his strikes, down and away, down and in.
And I have a little theory about that, Dick. He had that Tommy John surgery back in May, and maybe the first couple months, just trying to feel, and now you can kind of see him extend a little bit with that arm, which is the elbow area, just letting it go. It takes a while. I had surgery. I know it takes a while to not even think about it, but to let that arm go all the way through to the catcher's glove rather than maybe hold off a little bit.
Naturally and unconsciously.
Yes.
And Ron Gardenhire talked about that today and talking about Pelfrey. So the last hurdle for a pitcher to come by, here's a deep fly to center. And Thomas going back with room out number 2. The last hurdle is what you talk so often about, finishing your pitches, that little extra snap of the wrist at the point of release. And Gardy talked at length about that with Pelfrey. They're seeing that now. They did not see it in April.
Right. Last couple starts really extending. That's why I thought his 1st inning against the Kansas City Royals was maybe that's it. I can extend now without worrying about it more in my mind than my body.
I think the term that Gardy used was cutting your pitches off, which is what Pelfrey was guilty of in April.
Which puts pressure on that shoulder, and if you don't, if you don't let it extend, your shoulder's going to end up getting hurt.
1 strike to the number 9 batter, Steve Leroux.
Good fastball in.
1-1.
Fastball still at 90 plus.
Pelfrey pitched in April to an ERA of 7.66, in May a 5.90, and so far in the low 4s in June.
Well, balance point, utilize the lower part of your body to extend and then let the arm come through.
Fouled back, 2-2.
That fastball at 94, and that's the most pitches he's thrown in an outing, 111.
It's one thing to pitch less than a year after Tommy John surgery. It's another to pitch effectively in the 13th month after, and it looks like Mike Pelfrey is ready to do that. That is the hope.
Longest outing of the year. See if he can make it all the way. Go 7.
Tapped weakly to the right side. Escobar to Pelfrey. 7 really good innings tonight from Mike Pelfrey. We'll see if the Twins can get him a couple of runs. Really encouraging start again tonight in Target Field.
I think 2 good starts in a row for Mike Pelfrey. 2 quality starts. And, good extension right there. 6 strikeouts for Pelfrey. That first inning got away from him a little bit, but a call changes that. Ben Revere changes that inning around a little bit. But all in all, 7 strikeouts. That ties a season high in strikeouts. Boy, he did a good job. Now let's get him some runs. Get him a win.
Yeah. Twins lineup needs to get it done here. At the very least, get him off the hook. Hopefully, a couple of runs. He has won some games as a Twin, 3 of them, but this would be an encouraging game for him. He's endured an awful lot, and it looks like he's starting to come around a little bit. Joe Mauer to start the 7th. And he takes up high, ball 1.
Remember 2 starts ago here that he, Rick Anderson and he sat down, Pelfrey and Anderson sat down for about 2 innings after his outing. He was not happy. Was not a happy camper at all. I'm sure he's worked hard, and it's paying off.
1-1.
Good,
it might have been
good for Mike Pelfrey.
I do remember that. It might have been the start against the Mariners. He ended up taking the loss. 6 hits, 4 walks in 5 1/3 innings.
Right. He lost 3-0, but he wasn't happy with the way it was going. And last couple starts, something inside of him, a little more aggressive. 2 good outings.
Mauer slaps it to the left past Young, and Mauer's aboard to start the 7th inning. A couple of walks, and now a single for Mauer. Coming up on Friday night, special pregame ceremony, Friday, June 14th. The Tigers are in town. Former Twins pitcher and 2-time All-Star Eddie Guardado and longtime Twins PR director Tom Mead will be inducted into the Twins Hall of Fame in a ceremony prior to the game. Single-game tickets to the Hall of Fame induction game and all home games are available at twinsbaseball.com and by calling 800-33-TWINS. Savory checks out. Doman will hit against a new pitcher.
hit here in the bottom of the 7th. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
Michael Stutz comes out of the Philly bullpen to pitch to Ryan Doumit and presumably Josh Willingham as well.
Yeah, Stutz last year made the opening day roster for the Phillies, and then the latter part of April got hurt his shoulder and had surgery on June in 2012, just kind of coming back from that, making just his 9th appearance for the Phillies this year. You know who did the surgery? Dr. Yoakum.
Passed away a week or so ago.
Yep. Dr. Yoakum helped so many players get back on the field.
Doumit takes a belt-high strike. Doumit 0 for 3, then Willingham a double in 3 trips. Up and away, 1-1.
Got a report on Stutz, a fastball slider type pitcher in his 3rd season with the Phillies.
Fouled back, and it's 1-2. The last homestand, the Twins were 4-1 and a lot of home runs, and it looked like the power was going to be a more regular part of the Twins lineup, but many home runs on the road trip. Neither team hit a home run last night or tonight.
Man, that stopped the streak for the Phillies of 14 straight games that they had hit a home run. The club record is 18. So they're on a pretty good roll as far as hitting home runs. Staff stopped that last night for the Twins.
1-2 to Ryan Doumit. Foul back. This has to be quite a different experience for the Philly hitters compared to the ballpark they play in, Citizens Bank Park, which is one of the great launching pads among the new ballparks. One and 2 to Doumit. Checked his swing. Did he go? He did not. And it's 2-2.
Let's take a look to see where the barrel of the bat. No, he held up.
To center. Hit right at Revere. 1 down. And that'll bring up Josh Willingham. Willingham has just missed a pair of home runs. He hit a smash with topspin for a double. And then a towering fly ball to left. Caught on the warning track right at the wall by Dominic Brown. We'll see what Willingham can get done here with Mauer aboard and 1 out. Missing the inside corner, ball 1.
Start him off with a slider. Missed low.
Willingham's last home run was here in that last homestand against the Mariners and Jeremy Bonderman.
Oh boy.
1-1.
Stutz he has not allowed a home run yet, but that was a home run swing. Fastball away.
Time call. Stutz might be facing his last batter with Morneau due up next. Antonio Bastardo warming up. One and one to Willingham. Up and away, 2-1. Skied near second base. 2 down. Rollins with the catch.
Well, that's what we've seen from Josh. You know, his first at bat, he got on top of that ball, and the last couple getting underneath and creating that pop up.
Well, Willingham makes contact with the barrel of the bat, but now a pitching change, and Bastardo, Morneau, Roman numeral 2 coming up next.
Rematch.
Bastardo versus Morneau at bat.
Let's take a look pitch by pitch. Bastardo with a good fastball, misses low, and then a good strike. 1-1. Justin fouled it off, and then another fastball in, and this is a pitch right here. This one here that Justin kept the at bat going, got a fastball up, lined it right back up the middle, fouling off that nasty slider down and away. That allowed Bastardo to make a mistake and Justin hit it right back up the middle.
But I think that was the only slider he saw. He got a lot of fastballs from the left-hander and finally got one out over the plate he could drill hard. So we'll see what he's going to give Morneau with Mauer at first and 2 away.
Bastardo in his 5th season with the Phillies, as we showed you, making his 28th relief appearance.
To center, and Revere over a few steps, and this at bat won't last nearly as long or have a good outcome for the Twins. It's still 3-2. Tonight we're asking you on our AT&T Twitter poll which catch was better. Ben Revere's over-the-shoulder grab August of 2011 or what Byron Buxton did in a Midwest League game Monday afternoon in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Ben Revere's catch has won the balloting. I think because it was a major league catch. Now you can still vote if you want to continue to add to the AT&T Twitter poll.
Two great catches right there.
Revere will bat second here in the 8th inning against the new Twins pitcher. Our century linked to what's new, focusing on Casey Fiend.
Yeah, Casey Fiend 14 strikeouts in his last 15 outings. And so far on the year, 25 strikeouts in 25 innings pitched. Fiend making his 31st relief appearance. He last worked on Saturday in Washington, one shutout inning in the 11 inning Twins 4-3 win.
Michael Young with a 2-out double. In looking back at Pelfrey's night, 7 innings pitched, 5 of them 1-2-3 innings, and a near 1-2-3 inning in the 5th. It was Young with the 2-out double, and then Revere just hit a little soft fly ball in front of Clay Thomas, and that run in the 5th inning is the deciding run right now.
Yeah, remember that. That was the first pitch, too. Young, ball away. He just went with it. It's almost like he was stepping that way to hit that ball toward right field.
1-1 to Young, leading off the 8th. 1-2.
Good sinking fastball there by Fiend. Fiend basically a fastball slider pitcher with an occasional changeup. He'll come right at you. Shaking off a couple signs from Joe Mauer.
Young, it almost looked like he stepped in the bucket before Fiend even threw the pitch. 1 down, strikeout to start the 8th inning.
Yeah, slider down and away.
Center fielder Ben Revere.
Yeah, Young with a little step and had no chance to make contact with that. 1 down, here's Ben Revere. Revere with a pair of hits was given the benefit of a bad call at first base in the 1st inning. There's a bunt. Mauer. There's nobody at first base.
Mistake by Escobar right there.
Well, Revere dropped down a bunt and it never got to the grass, I don't think. And Morneau came in a couple of steps and Escobar was nowhere to be found.
Always have to be ready with Revere because there's always that possibility he's going to bunt, and exactly what he does. You see Escobar just late getting over there, and hey, heads up play by Joe Mauer, seeing that nobody's there. Could have been easy for Joe to pick that ball up and let it go, and that would have been trouble. But instead, Revere gets his 3rd hit on the bunt.
Rollins 1 for 3. Dean will keep some attention focused on Revere at first. Outside, ball 1. Rollins a part of a really successful run for the Phillies. They won their division 5 straight years.
National League MVP in 2007. 3-time All-Star. 4-time Rolling Gold Glove winner. He's quick. Over 400 Major League stolen bases in his career. Again, Ben Revere at first base, 14 stolen bases in 18 attempts. Couple throwovers.
Escobar. A pair of singles now with one out in the 8th. And the Phillies put together a threat with Ryan Howard coming to the plate. And Ron Gardenhire is going to bring a left-hander in to face Howard.
Yeah, ball left up right there. And Rollins picks up his second hit of the game, just out of the reach of Escobar.
And so I'm assuming it's Brian Dunsing will pitch next for the Twins. By Brian Dunsing in a kind of an unusual situation last night where Fiend came to the mound but didn't pitch.
Yeah, Gardy, so you can see, wanting Dunsing to come in. Bobby Cuellar, the bullpen coach, you know, he's old, he can't see. He's thinking, you know, he said, no, actually the umpire, second base umpire, and that was Bruce Dreckman, you know, motioning a right-hander. Exchange, it's not me, it's you. So Brian Dunsing came in. He did face 3 batters. He struck out Rollins to the first batter, but then Ryan Howard got an RBI base hit in the 8th inning. And that matchup is going to be here again as Dunsing comes in for the 32nd time, and he faces Ryan Howard again.
Ryan Howard against Brian Dunsing. Fouled back, 1 strike. Dunsing left the pitch up. Howard fouled it to the net.
Yeah, Brian threw 17 pitches last night, 11 for strikes.
Foul back, 2 strikes.
Yeah, he left the slider up to Howard, and that's when he got the RBI single. So now ahead in the count. Dunsing with 19 strikeouts in 23 2/3 innings.
Two strikes to Howard. Ooh, just got a piece.
But with a fastball down, Howard just got a piece of it.
Two again to Ryan Howard. Slow breaking ball got him. What a great pitch. Howard thought it was high, but David Rackley racked him up.
Howard having some words with Rackley. Howard gave up on this slow breaking ball. That's right there. Box track says the upper portion of that strike zone. That's that strike that Drew Admiral was talking about.
Wasn't going to call it strike 3, but
Rackley did.
There's Dominic Brown grounded out against Dunsing last night. There's a little flare, and Florimone makes the catch. Good job by Dunsing, and the Phillies don't score in the 8th.
Phillies. Be sure to stick with us after the game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll talk about some former Twins haunting their old team tonight. We'll also talk about this current Twins starter, Mike Pelfrey, and a very strong outing from him, going 7 solid innings. And of course, hear manager Ron Gardenhire's thoughts after the game on Twins Live. Dick and Bert.
All right, thank you, Jamie. 8th inning now with the specter of Jonathan Papelbon pitching the 9th. Twins will try to get something done here in the 8th with Arcia, Thomas, and Escobar. Bastardo got Morneau on one pitch. And Arcia takes a strike over the inside corner.
Yeah, slider middle in. That's what Justin flew out to right field on, was that slider.
Phillies 23-1 when they lead after 7, 24-0 when they lead after 8. And Arcia cracks one toward the gap. His 3rd hit of the night, with some flair as he pulls into second base.
Fastball down. Arcia went down and hit this ball sharply. Double in last night's ball game. An RBI double here. Fastball down. Hits it to right center. Ben Revere has to play the one-hop carom and get it back in. Arcia with his 7th double of the year, his 3rd hit of the ball game.
Clete Thomas has 3 hits, and he'll hit next. Arcia scored the 2 Twins runs. Thomas will try to get him in here to get this game tied up. Corner infielders pinching a little bit, and Thomas swings for the plaza. 1 strike. So many situations like this in the last week and a half where the Twins have misfired. They've not gotten that leadoff double in and around to score. 1 strike to Clete Thomas. Driven to right. That'll work. Thomas has a double, and he'll hold up with a game-tying double in the 8th inning. A 4-hit night for the Twins center fielder.
And his 2nd RBI double. Started to look like he left a breaking ball up, and Thomas having quite a night.
The last 2 hits have been against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, slider right there. Thomas going out and hitting it sharply. Arcia scores for the third time. All Twins runs scored by Arcia.
Now the 8 and 9 batters need to do their jobs. And in Escobar's case, he was asked to sacrifice in the 6th inning. Will very likely be asked to do it again here in the 8th. Escobar squares early and takes a strike. Now Howard isn't as mobile as he once was, but he is a left-handed thrower, and that makes it much easier to throw to third base.
Yeah, you want to make sure as Howard was coming running in sharply, you want to, if you'd like to bunt that ball toward Young at third base.
Beautifully dropped down. They're going to have a hard time getting it.
No play.
A bunt with a little backspin. We've talked tonight about sluggers getting backspin. Escobar lays up a bunt with some backspin.
Perfectly placed. Sacrificing right here. Kind of jabs that ball, and it just kind of hit on the grass and just spun. Look at the rotation of that ball. Luzardo comes in. He has no play. So runners at the corners, nobody out. Escobar picks up his second hit of the ball game.
Strategically, you like the squeeze play? Are you a fan of the squeeze play?
No.
Okay, why?
Sometimes it takes a club out of the game. You have to know who's at the plate and all that. If Rod Carew's up, yeah, maybe then.
Charlie Manuel's coming to the mound here, presumably to make a pitching change with Florimon hitting from his weaker side against Bastardo. And he's going to make the pitching change. The Twins have already tied it up, looking to take their first lead of the night. Seven batters getting it done. Arcia with 3 hits and Clete Thomas with 4 of them.
Yeah, Clete Thomas, quite a night. An infield base hit in his first at-bat off the pitcher. Then an RBI double in the 4th. A base hit in the 5th. And then the tying of the game, the RBI double. We just saw to tie the game at 3 apiece.
Behind that, a bunt single by Escobar and Bastardo taken out of the game. DeFratis coming in. He pitched a perfect inning in the ball game last night, the 7th inning, including a strikeout of Florimon. But as we've made a point of telling you time and time again, this year Florimon's so much better from the left side of the plate, so in making the pitching change, they've turned him over to his preferred side.
Yeah, DeFratis is a strikeout pitcher, and that's what Charlie Manuel's hoping that he gets right here. He struck out Florimon in the 7th inning on a called 3rd strike.
Infield in for the Phillies. Up and away, ball 1. From this side of the plate, Florimon 0 for 2 tonight with 2 swinging strikeouts. What a catch. A wicked liner, and Galvis speared it, playing almost on the edge of the grass. 1 down.
Florimon dropping the barrel of the bat. We've seen that he likes that ball down. Boy, did he hit this ball sharply, but right at Glavis at second base. Look at that. Good swing. Good contact.
The runners do their part. Holding at 1st and 3rd. Chris Parmalee will hit for Jamie Carroll.
Twins looking for a fly ball, a base hit, something in the outfield here to score Thomas from 3rd.
Rich Doobie to the mound. Parmalee 1 for 5 with a run batted in as a pinch hitter. He has a couple of sacrifice flies.
And that's what Doobie's talking about right now, I'm sure, to DeFratis, just about the scouting report that they have on Parmalee. Parmalee did not play in last night's ball game.
Florimon, a tough night at the plate, finally makes solid contact. The hitting coach made a point of going over there and patting him on the back.
Yeah, Parmalee, I take it back. He did play in last night's ball game. He did not have an at bat. He played right field in the last inning for Ryan Doman.
Go-ahead run at 3rd, 1 out. Infield still halfway in. Parmalee. Strike 1. Thomas with center fielder speed at 3rd base. Missed the inside corner. Remember that the Philadelphia center fielder Ben Revere does not have much of an arm. That gets to the backstop. Thomas will score, and the Twins take the lead. A wild pitch puts the Twins in front.
Well, that ball getting underneath the catcher, LaRue, and then hitting the back wall here at Target Field, and then ricocheting a little bit toward 3rd base. Tries to get the umpire's right foot, too. And Thomas scores the go-ahead run. So a wild pitch will be charged to DeFratis. That's his 4th wild pitch of the year.
2-1 to Parmalee, with Escobar at second base. A high foul fly that'll reach the seats. Off-speed pitch, and Parmalee hooked it over the Twins dugout. Glenn Perkins got the save last night. May have an opportunity for number 15 tonight. Thomas and Arcia, the offensive stars so far. Foul. the starting lineup tonight. That was a bit of a surprise. The only right-handed starter that the Twins were going to see in this series. They get Cliff Lee tomorrow. Chance to deliver a big hit off the bench. There's Lee looking on next to Hamels, last night's starter. Three and two. Mauer on deck. It'll be a double play. Parmalee can't hit the ball any harder. Right back to DeFratis, and it's a double play. Glenn Perkins last night successfully completed a save with a 1-run lead. He'll try to do the same again tonight. Clete Thomas with a 4-hit night, couple of RBI doubles, including the game-tying double, and a run scored, the go-ahead run. It's 4-3 Twins.
Yeah, career night for Clete Thomas with the 4 hits in a ball game. Brings on Glenn Perkins with a 1-run lead. Perkins only 10 pitches to retire, 3 outs in last night's 14th save in the Twins 3-2 win.
Delman Young, the first man he'll face. On the ground, and Perkins has got to hurry. It's Dozier to Perkins, got him. Morneau went for the ball, and Perkins, who had to scramble after his follow-through to get to the bag, the first out of the inning.
That's the third time we've seen a display tonight, a 4-1 putout. Dozier just brought into the ball game, leading Perkins, and Perkins able to get that right foot on the bag. Little hesitation, but Perk there. Get your foot on the bag before Young.
One down last night. Young lined out to Morneau for the first out. Mayberry lined out to Thomas for the second out. And then he struck out Galvis. So Perkins facing the same 3 guys here tonight that he retired in order last night. You saw Dozier at second, Escobar moving over to third with Carroll taken out, and Chris Parmalee in the game for Ryan Doman. Two 2-0. Down the middle, a strike.
Perkins again, a 1-2-3, bottom or top of the ninth last night on only 10 pitches, 6 for strikes.
Half swing, but strike 2.
Good slider right there. A very sharp slider.
Driven to right. Parmalee there. 2 down. And that'll bring up Freddie Galvis. So far, 5 up, 5 down for Perkins in these save opportunities against the Phillies. Galvis went down swinging to end the game last night. Ball 1.
Galvis, a switch hitter, is a right-handed hitter, hitting just 154.
To center. Routine for Thomas. Another one-run win for the Twins. This one, a very nice come-from-behind win.
Unbelievable win right here for the Twins. Good win. Great night for Garcia. Great night for Thomas. Perkins picks up his 15th save.
No home runs hit in the ball game again. The home run challenge continues through Father's Day. Make your pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. Twins pitcher struck out 9 Phillies tonight, though. The Twins organization has donated $37,000 this week for prostate cancer research. Dave Benz, a couple of nice one-run wins for the Twins against the Phillies.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. They improved to 11-9 this season in one-run ball games. And we'll have more coming your way on Twins Live coming up in just a moment, including the call-ups making their presence felt in this one.